What would you say the odds are that Cam Rising plays on Friday?
What would you say the odds are that you're on every show this week? Happy Tuesday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Guys, I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by the one, the only hall monitor himself, also known as Dog Legs Ruby.
I hate that one.
We do have...
I really hate that one.
Captain Redbeard behind the Mac. He is making all of the magic happen. Guys, do us a solid. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. If you're not doing it for me and old Dog Legs over here, we'll do it for the guys behind us, Kenny Dillingham and Cam Scatterbo. We're going to be talking about those two a little bit more tomorrow. On today's show, though, we are talking about that Arizona State defense going toe-to-toe against Utah. We've got some key matchups, some key Utah offensive players that the Sun Devils need to be aware of, and so should Sun Devil Nation. We've got sound from Kyle Whittingham, and we've also got, what does Utah do offensively? That's what we got for you on today's show. Buckle up, grab a snack, grab a drink. Let's have some fun. Erik, immediately you talk about this Utah offense, and at least right now it comes down to Isaac Wilson or Cam Rising. Yep. I think everybody else is kind of separating the other talent on this team, as you would for any team that's going through what Utah is at that quarterback position. I think ASU fans know a thing or two about that going back to last year, right? You had
don't know what you're talking about.
A hot start, at least what you thought was a hot start with Jaden Rashada. And then you got to the point where it was quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, and it's tough to sometimes build that chemistry. One thing that I think is the opposite, though, for Utah is your options aren't older guys. You're going with a true freshman in Isaac Wilson or a super senior in Cam Rising.
Yeah, both sides of the spectrum. I do think an advantage that they have, though, is with ASU, when you talk about quarterback and everything last year, there was like 5 different options and 5 different people that played quarterback, and then injuries, and you never really know. Like, you're going to get either Isaac Wilson or you're going to get Cam Rising. You've already seen Isaac Wilson play, and you've seen Cam Rising play probably more than even Cam Rising expected to play when he started his college career. But knowing that it's 2 options, and then also something that this team has that ASU did not have last season, that maybe 10, 15 years down the line, maybe sooner they will, is this infrastructure, this way of things that are done under the same head coach for a long period of time in Kyle Whittingham. And that makes it easier for somebody like Isaac Wilson to step in and to be a threat. And obviously, he's not nearly as good as Cam Rising, and he's not nearly as established as Cam Rising. No. But also, this offense has other folds and elements to it than just the quarterback, right? If you're boiling it down to, well, if Cam Rising plays, then ASU loses, and if he doesn't play, then ASU wins. Well, it's just not that simple on either end.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I think, again, people have boiled it down to that, and that's what it's going to continue to be boiled down to through kickoff, because that's what people want to talk about, right? The quarterbacks, obviously, in this situation. We'll get into Cam Rising. Kyle Whittingham had some sound as it relates to the status, so definitely stick around for that. But I do want to particularly talk about the last couple of games that we've seen from that Utah offense. And we mentioned yesterday, this is a Utah offense that doesn't blow you away with what it does, right? Bottom chunk of the Big 12 in terms of points per game. But what this team does particularly well is they do run the football, right? People talk about Cam Rising, Isaac Wilson, that's fine. But something that Utah has always been very, very capable of is out-physicaling the opponent, and doing so with their running back in Micah Bernard. Micah Bernard, 6 foot, running back. I mean, they love to run the football. It's a very, very similar style of play to Arizona State. They're going to try and run the football as a team 30 to 40 times a game. If it works, it sets them up for success, opening up the pass game. And that's really how they beat a team in Oklahoma State. If you look statistically as to what Isaac Wilson did, if you look to the team totals in general, Utah offensively did not play a very good game outside of Micah Bernard, who had 25 carries and a $182 on the ground. Isaac Wilson only completed about 58% of his passes. He also threw 2 interceptions. But how did Utah win that game against, at what the time people thought was going to be a good Oklahoma State team? They absolutely dominated the time of possession. They had 42 minutes time of possession to Oklahoma State's 17 and change. That's how Utah wants to play the football game. So how did they win that game? Well, it's because of their defense and their run game. How does Arizona State usually win games? Because of their defense and their run game. It's going to come down to which group can actually create that recipe for success better than the other.
Yeah. This will be a fun game. It will be an exciting game. Dave in the chat says Friday night's going to be crazy at the stadium. However, this will not be a barn burner. This will not be a 44 to 43 Texas Tech-esque game.
At least it shouldn't be.
It should. If it is, honestly, if it is, that plays into Arizona State's favor.
I think so.
I believe, because that means you're getting Utah to play a brand of football they don't usually play. And ASU is able to score more points on a consistent basis than a team like Utah is, right? So if you can get them to a point where you're scoring and now they have to match and they can go away from their run game, away from their ground and pound and dominate the time of possession, and hey, we got a fire underneath our butts right now. We got to move downfield. Yeah. And especially like the recipe for ASU winning is to force Utah to play the catch-up game, to play the passing game. Right? And especially if Isaac Wilson is playing. If you can take Utah out of the run game without Cam Rising, and you do that by scoring points and owning the time of possession, ASU can win this game.
Absolutely. Rhonda in the chat. What's up, guys? What's up, Rhonda,
What's up,
David,
Rhonda?
Kate? If you're here watching, leave a like, hit that subscribe button. Also, hop in the comments. Let us know what you think of this matchup between that ASU defense and that Utah offense. Now, look, I think a lot of people are going to write off Isaac Wilson. Watching some of the film back, and I haven't watched nearly as much as I'd like to, he can make some throws. There is a reason that he is quarterback number 2 on the depth chart for a Kyle Whittingham coach team. He is a very, very solid quarterback. He can make types of throws. He is very similar to Sam Leavitt in the fact that he can take off and run if he needs to. However, he does have some turnover issues. I believe he's got 7 INTs on the season to 6 passing touchdowns, which is just something that you can't afford to do offensively when you're a team that already doesn't necessarily score a lot of points. You go to the Arizona game, and on top of him throwing 2 interceptions, Tacario Davis, what's expected to be a first-round defensive back for the Arizona Wildcats, played absolutely out of his mind and really, really held Isaac Wilson down. He was only able to complete 50% of his passes. How did the Wildcats win that game? Well, it wasn't just Tacario Davis. They took away that ground game that we were talking about. Utah only averaged 2.9 yards per rush.
If ASU could do that, they'll probably win this game.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
If it's 2.9 yards per rush, and the thing with Isaac Wilson that you have to take into account as a Sun Devil fan, as Sam Leavitt fans at this point, you saw Sam have his best game of the season coming off of the bye week.
He did.
Right? Sam Leavitt's a better quarterback than Isaac Wilson, but they have similarities like you mentioned, including the fact of where they are in their college careers. Right? Isaac Wilson now is following the same recipe that Sam Leavitt came off, now the best game of his career, which was lose to a team that you probably think you should have beat, or with Utah's case, you definitely should have beat with how Arizona's playing. Bye week, get your stuff together, get your film together, see what you did wrong, take some time to collect yourself, and have a devised game plan to now go out and to play a team that, from Utah's perspective, they should be walking in expecting to beat ASU. You're ranked that high in the country, Isaac Wilson or no Isaac Wilson. You internally, if you were on Utah's side right now, you should have full belief that you're walking out of Sun Devil Stadium with the win. The same way that Arizona State should have believed that going in to play Kansas, that they were walking away with a win. Now, do they know it's going to be that easy? Do they think that to take their foot off the gas? No. But you should have that expectation, especially coming off a bye. that all adds up to Isaac Wilson being poised to probably have the best game of his young career if all trends kind of follow the same for young quarterbacks. Now it's up to ASU to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, see, I don't think Isaac Wilson, if Isaac Wilson gets rolled out there, obviously I think Arizona State has a much higher chance of winning this game than Cam Rising, just based off of what he's seen. Arizona State hasn't played many young quarterbacks this season, but one of the ones that they did play, Wyoming, again, second play of the game, a pick six for Zyrus Fiaseu. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the case for Arizona State, but what I will say is Brian Ward, from a defensive coordinator standpoint, I think is one of the best in the Big 12. Yes. I think he is a top-tier defensive coordinator around the country. And one thing that he likes to do is those simulated pressures. He likes to show you one thing and do another. For a young quarterback who, again, has a pretty good offensive line at Utah, if you're able to get him moving, if you are able to force some pressure, which I know it's cliche, we talk about it every week, I think that's going to be more important than it ever has been this season for Arizona State, because it is, if you get Isaac Wilson moving, not only is he scrambling for his life, looking downfield, he is also trying to figure out what coverage Arizona State in. He is trying to find the open man. He's trying to go through his progressions. For a young quarterback starting, I believe, his fourth game of his career, that is not an easy thing to do against a Brian Ward defense. There are veteran quarterbacks that have a tough time going up against Brian Ward.
Well, the only problem now with, going in, and you mentioned the Wyoming game, and not that you're predicting to have a start like that, is, much love and respect to local product Evan Svoboda, but Isaac Wilson is a higher level quarterback.
He's a better quarterback.
Even at this age, right? At the same time as well, you are missing Keyshaun Elliott.
Yep.
And you're missing Clayton Smith
for the first half. Yep.
Right? And the first half is all quarterback really needs to get in a rhythm. Heck, you need really like a drive or two to feel comfortable and confident out there. And I have full faith in Brian Ward, and I still have faith in this defense to be able to perform well. But no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Those are two that are your best players on the defensive side of the football. That's going to make life easier for Isaac Wilson if he plays. And looking at the other side of it, because if I had to put money on it, I do think Cam Rising is going to play. If Cam Rising is out there, that is like a way better reintroduction to this season than it would be if Keyshaun and Clayton were out there. And if you look at the pure scoring output of Utah, look, they're a bottom 4 team in the Big 12 at 28.4 points per game, or 28.5, 28.4 points per game, just above Baylor, who's at 28, Arizona, who's at 27, and then Houston, who's at 13, which is which is nuts.
Less than 2 touchdowns a game.
That team beat TCU. Anyway, you're looking at, if they scored 1.5 points less over the span of these games, or they averaged it, they'd be the second worst team in the Big 12 offensive. Those numbers would not be there if Cam Rising was playing. No. Because when Cam Rising was playing, that man was throwing touchdowns.
Yeah, no, right? Absolutely.
So if Cam Rising plays and he comes back out, don't expect to see 28 point per game, which is also kind of crazy that's like the 4th lowest is 28.4.
His conference is
kind of nuts, right? But don't expect to see lower output like a Utah if Cam Rising's playing. Obviously, you would have to assume he picks up where he left off, but he can get you into a shootout.
See, I don't know if that's going to be the case either. I think Utah has a better chance if Cam Rising plays. But I think Arizona State is kind of in a sweet spot where, yes, you'd like to know who's starting earlier on the week, so you only have to prep for one guy as opposed to 2. But you either get a young, inexperienced Zach Wilson or Isaac Wilson at home.
I wish you could get Zach Wilson.
Or you get Cam Rising, who hasn't played football in weeks because of an injury.
Yeah, but Cam Rising has decades of college football experience under his belt. He could have
a century worth of experience, right? But if you...
no matter what, you're playing without 2 of the best opposing defenders in the first half as well to ease you into it.
If you went on a vacation for a month and a half.
It's a nice idea.
It's a great idea, right? Right? Let's say you hurt your vocal cords really bad. You're on IR for...
I can't talk.
Yeah, you're on IR for a month and a half.
I got to go to Cancun.
Right? Yeah. And you come back. First show you have to do is a big post-game show, an hour-long post-game show. You're going to be a little rusty regardless of if you've done it for a couple times.
Me?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know about that.
Me, anybody in here, any job. You go, you do it time again, that's fine. You take 2 months off, that first 5-10 minutes, whatever you do, is not going to be as flawless as you may have done it in the past.
All I need is a cold open. That's all I need. I'm kidding. I get what you're saying. That's why they say it's like riding a bike. Sometimes if you haven't been on a bike in a while, you go and you're like, oh, and then you get it and you're fine.
Yeah. Sometimes you need those training wheels, man.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to learn how to ride that bike if you're not going through a rugged path first. And it's a lot smoother of a path without Clayton Smith and without Keyshaun Elliott. I don't want to underrate the
Prince
impact
Dorba would say otherwise.
No, but I'm not. But imagine if it was Prince Dorba and Clayton Smith and Keyshaun Elliott. I'm not saying the defense doesn't have any talent without them. Or
You
they
heard
can't
it
do
here
anything.
first, guys. Eric Ruby said it.
I didn't say that. But what I'm saying is you're missing two of your best players, what some would consider two that are your best players on defense. If Utah, for a half, was missing their two best defensive players, it'd be a lot easier for Sam Levitt to get in a rhythm that game. And we would be looking at it from the opposite perspective.
Yeah, no, that's all fair.
And when you have a team that predicates their offense around the run game, right? And really, as far as like receiving threats go, they don't have like a wide...
They got like two guys.
They don't have a wide variety of receiving threats, right? So if you have somebody who's way better at getting them the ball and they can get into a rhythm and then play from in front and then run the ball, that's the recipe for Utah walks away with a convincing win against Arizona State. But at the same time, let's say Cam Rising is rusty. Let's say Isaac Wilson, the week off didn't help a ton. And even without a Keyshaun and a Clayton for the first half, they hold strong. It's close. They come into the second half. And now Utah is playing from behind late in the game. If you get to that point, I don't know if they have the facilities to storm back or to march down the field in a quick, efficient manner, especially if there is no Cam Rising, rusty or not. So the same way against Texas Tech where it was don't fall down early, right? Because Tech will outscore you.
Yeah.
The same way with Utah. Don't fall down early because Utah is totally fine playing some boring football.
They'll score a touchdown and they'll run the ball the rest of the game.
You get a boring football until you catch up.
Yeah.
You know what? You're freshman. Why don't you make the throws?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's valid. Rhonda in the chat. Is Cam Rising back in? That is the question that every Arizona State and Utah fan wants to know the answer to. And look, we may have the answer for you, but you're going to have to wait until after this break to hear it.
I have an addiction.
Tell me.
And I'm not afraid to admit it.
Okay.
I'm addicted to branded bills.
Wow.
I cannot get enough of branded bills. They are the most comfortable, the most durable hat I've ever worn, whether I'm working out, I'm just going out for a walk, hosting a podcast. I'm a hat dude.
You are a hat dude.
I'm so happy that we have branded bills.
You're a cap connoisseur.
Except for I don't cap, especially not about branded bills. They have everything from snapbacks, truckers, fitted, beanies, tees. They have you covered with performance and style. They can get custom headwear, custom shirts, whatever your logo is. They have you covered. I know we're going to get some custom PHNX stuff that I am so excited about. They're a local company from Mesa, Arizona. They partner with great schools like Arizona State University, and they do charity work like partnering with the University of Arizona. So all you have to do to get a nice, beautiful, well-fitted cap on your head like Anthony Totri is go to brandedbills.com. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order.
Absolutely beautiful. You know what else is beautiful?
Tell me.
The money in my bank account because I get to save thanks to Inner Circle. That is the free membership program that Circle K has. Super easy to download. Literally, you could do it in the next 30 seconds. Just download the app. Enter your email and phone number to be fully enrolled. And after that, all you need is your phone number to start getting those deals at the pump. And we're talking about deals like saving 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. It starts to add up. And then if that's not enough, you guys can save 3 cents per gallon every single day. And now there's plenty of other member exclusive deals and discounts, guys. Thirst has officially met its match. Enjoy your member exclusive beverage deal. Inner Circle members like you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents. And of course, we are here in Studio K, presented by Circle K. Guys, join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Now, it's the question that everybody wants to know the answer to. Is Cam Rising
Tell me.
back, or is it Isaac Wilson? Well, Kyle Whittingham on Monday was asked if Cam Rising would be back, and this was the update by the one, the only Kyle Whittingham.
Medical staff, without any other input. I mean, it's all, we're following the recommendations. He is following the recommendations as well as from the doctors, and we'll see what happens this week. But there's a chance, I can tell you that, and it's still early in the week. But we're crossing our fingers and hoping for the best, as is Cam. And so we're just seeing how things play out. But again, we follow all the medical recommendations. We're not going to, I'm not a doctor. Cam's not a doctor. We're not going to go against that. So that's where we're at.
That's about what I expected. You thought he was going to sit out there and say, yeah, Cam Rising's playing. Oh, no, Cam Rising's not playing. There's no way he was giving that answer. That's the perfect. I think he was actually reading off of a script.
Yeah.
I think I saw the script. He peeked down at it a couple of times. I think he's playing.
You think so?
And you don't.
I don't think Cam Rising is playing. No.
Do you want to make a bet?
What kind of bet are we talking here, Erik?
I don't know. You're usually the one to come up with bets and
this is
weasel your way out of one.
You just. I've never weaseled my way out of nothing.
Okay.
What bet did I weasel my way out of?
But to make a bold claim like you've never weaseled your way out of anything.
Not anything on air.
There you go. There's the caveat I was waiting for.
Look, no, I don't think Cam Rising is playing.
Friday night, after everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, no, we might see each other Saturday, considering Friday is your birthday. Yeah. Well, food or something. I don't know.
Dinner?
Yeah.
You going to buy me dinner?
I'll buy you dinner.
Oh, thanks.
Or you buy me dinner on your birthday.
Or I'll buy you dinner.
With Cam Rising plays.
Another $18 quesadilla, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Look,
with all two people out there.
The reason I don't think Cam Rising is playing is because a month ago, when this injury happened against Baylor, and he hurt his hand, it was already to the point of, it's not real serious. It's literally, quote, what Kyle Whittingham said, that he's just been told it's not real serious. You know what I know now. It wasn't real serious and can't tell you the exact description of what happened, but he may be back this week. We'll see. That was against Baylor. That was a month ago.
Yeah. Okay. Do I think Cam Rising will play 100% healthy? No. If I think he's playing, that doesn't mean that I think he's going to be fully healed and probably should be playing football. But that's not how these things work. If he's capable of playing football, they will have him play football. And I think you hold him out of Arizona as a precaution because you're at home. You presume that you're going to win that game, considering Arizona State
was home.
No,
right. You're right. You're right.
Home,
I'm wrong. You were right.
You're home. You're about to go into a bye week. You don't want to rush and risk it, especially when you play a powerhouse like ASU coming up after that. And you say, we're going to sit you, even though maybe we could play you, maybe we could push it. You get the extra week, and then you come out on a Friday and you play. That's what I think is going to happen. Because it was rumored before the Arizona game that he was going to play, or it was likely that he was going to play.
But that's the thing, right? Is there were rumors that the coaching staff was holding him out because they wanted to see him get more velocity on the ball, right? You saw that report.
Yeah.
That was the initial report. And now we have Kyle Whittingham saying that it's the medical staff. That was his response to the question. Is this a coaching staff issue or is this a medical staff issue? Well, the report before the bye week was that it was a coaching staff issue. And now we've gotten to the point of, it's a medical staff issue. We keep going back and forth. Again, a month ago, he was supposed to be playing and he hasn't.
Maybe this is just time for him to get his business in order, his insurance or car,
his LinkedIn
dealership.
profile.
Yeah. Whatever he needs. Yeah, he just needs extra time to get all that together. The demands of adult life are a lot. But I think this is a win-win for me. Because either he
you?
Yeah, for me.
Okay.
Because if he plays, well, it does suck for ASU. I'm getting free food.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't play, I just jinxed it into existence, and he doesn't play against ASU. And I get to buy my good friend a meal around his birthday.
There you go.
So
Or maybe we could just turn it into a drink on Saturday. Maybe we could do that.
I'm going to buy you a drink on Saturday no matter what.
Oh, okay. That's fair. Well, look, it's gotten to the point now where week over week we are, at least Utah fans are, is Cam Rising playing? Is Cam Rising playing? And they don't really find out until the game starts. Well, look, there are other conferences that have mandated injury reports, right? The SEC, the Big Ten. So interestingly enough, with this situation with Kyle Whittingham and Cam Rising, Whittingham was actually asked by Utah media if he would be in support of a mandated injury report.
100%. 100%. But since there is no mandate, why would you tip your hand in any way, shape, or form with injuries? It doesn't make any sense to give the opponent any more knowledge than they have. And so that's the only reason. It's no other reason other than a competitive advantage. Even though it might be just slight, it's still an advantage. The less they know, the more we know. that type of deal. But yeah, I would support that if the Big 12 were to come out and say, hey, you need to disclose and have an injury report. But I don't think it should be conference to conference. Again, I think P4 should all operate under the same guidelines, the same rules, regulations. And right now it's all over the place. And so I would be in favor of whoever would make that call for all P4 conferences to be aligned and have a consistent way of handling and dealing with injuries. So that's where I'm at.
Spoken truly by a man who's out the door
100%.
Relatively soon. Yeah, I would love for that to be something that everybody else has to deal with once I leave.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would support it as well, even though in certain times it would give ASU an advantage depending on what's going on. But well, actually, I don't know, because then it's not as much content. So maybe we don't want mandated injury reports.
Well, it's in the situation of a quarterback, I do feel like it does give a pretty big advantage.
Yes.
Because again, Arizona State, even if it's just busy work, has to prep for both Isaac Wilson and Cam Rising. And Cam Rising, again, is one of the, I would say, top 15 quarterbacks in all of college football when he is 100% healthy. In Isaac Wilson, he's got talent. You just haven't necessarily seen him put it all together for a complete game. But on the flip side, and we'll talk about it tomorrow, you haven't seen Sam Levitt put together a full, complete game either.
What would you consider Kansas?
I mean, it was I would say it's probably about an 85%. And a lot of that wasn't.
Maybe let's get into that tomorrow.
Well, yeah, we'll say that for tomorrow.
Yeah, because I want to pick your brain on that. Find that interesting. That's a little tease for tomorrow's episode. But with Cam and with Isaac and everything, yeah, it's an advantage, especially when you have like that big enough of a drop off.
Yeah.
As well, like you don't have just like a backup quarterback that can hold water to your starter, at least at this point in your career. But even with mandated injury reports, do you watch like professional sports? Like they mess with the injury report too. Cam Rising could be listed as questionable or probable or whatever and still not play.
Well, yeah, I don't think you really gain a whole lot here because I think Utah would still be listing him as like day to day.
Yeah, you wouldn't get we wouldn't be sitting here today on Tuesday. The game's on Friday, and we would know for sure who's in, who's out.
It's more so for other position players that, again, Arizona State fans maybe or Utah fans wouldn't be necessarily as tied into knowing. Every Arizona State fan that watches college football knows that Cam Rising is injured and will be a game time decision at this point, right? So let's assume Cam Rising doesn't play. Let's assume you have to buy me dinner because I'm right and you're wrong. Isaac Wilson gets the start. So what does Isaac Wilson need to prove on Friday in Tempe against Arizona State? Well, this is Kyle Whittingham's take on it.
I would say the entire his entire game just needs to continue to get tighter and better. Cut down on the interceptions. First of all, we've had some interceptions along the way, but there's not any one glaring area we can say, boy, he's really lacking in this or that. It's just he's a freshman, a true freshman, and there's going to be a learning curve, and there's going to be mistakes made that you're going to have to live with. And as long as the more reps he accrues and the more time he gets, playing time, the less those mistakes show up, and we're trending in the right direction. That's really what you're looking for.
That's exactly what I want to hear if I'm the true freshman quarterback at Utah who's played a couple games is I need to tighten up my entire game. That is that is zero. That gives me zero confidence that I can go out there if I need to ensure that I'm doing something completely different with my game, tighten it up. And again, I think in terms of tightening up his game, we're talking about making quicker decisions, and obviously making better throws and not turning the football over, something that Isaac Wilson has struggled with at times this season. Like you can't afford to do that in this conference. Not when like you said earlier, there are some offenses that will turn those into points immediately.
Yeah. Well, with ASU, you've also seen what it's like for a quarterback to progress. And Sharon says, sounds a lot like Levitt. When you've seen the progression of Sam Levitt over this season, and for Kenny, who's been following him for a while, like over the span of his young career, how much somebody can grow and get better week in, week out. Mm-hmm. And Sharon also says learning curve and improving with experience. I also think that this comes down to these types of projects, these types of quarterbacks, these types of players are on an accelerated path to being better and to getting their game up to speed when they're younger, when they're in a system like Utah's, when they're under a coach like Kyle Whittingham and the coaches that are underneath him and that type of coaching tree. Talk about ASU on their accelerated path this season to actually being a good football team and already surpassing many people's ceilings for what they can hit this year in 3 to 4 wins. It's accelerated because the infrastructure put around them, the coaching staff, has made all these players get on a fast track to either getting back to where they were or growing, like a Sam Leavitt. You can't discount that with Utah. I know that the bye week's probably not going to fix everything, but if they're aware that he needs to be better, and I know that they have a better idea if Cam's going to play or not, but it could truly be up in the air for all of them. So you know that you have to pour into Isaac Wilson. Plus, and unless a miracle happens, I'm pretty sure Cam Rising can't play another year of college football.
He could.
Could he actually?
He could get a waiver.
Oh my God. I'm actually rooting. I'm actually, as much as I would hate that, I'm leaning into the bit. I want him to hit a decade.
Whittingham did get asked if they've thought about it at all. He said he hasn't. He said that would be a compliance question about Cam Rising getting an 8th.
Could you imagine Cam Rising playing against college athletes, true freshmen, who were 8 years old when he initially entered college football?
No.
If he plays a decade.
No.
That'd be kind of sick. I can't lie. I'm almost flipping to the exact opposite
Of where you were at. You're just like, I want to see how
I'm
long
almost
this guy can go.
like leaning. Maybe it's because of our good friend Kelsey Hall as well.
Wow.
Shots. She'd be the first to say it. She's literally said it.
That's fair.
But B says Cam Rising, no Cam Rising, doesn't matter. Utah getting forked. Love that.
Absolutely. Look, whether it's Isaac Wilson or Cam Rising at quarterback for the Utah Utes, there are a couple of weapons in that Utah offense that Arizona State also needs to be mindful of. We're going to tell you who those weapons are. But first, we are going to take a quick break. Now, if you are looking to go to the Friday night Big 12 showdown between 4-1 Utah and 4-1 Arizona State, well, I've got an app for you that's going to help you get there. It's called Game Time, guys. How much are tickets right now, Erik, for that Friday night Big 12 showdown?
I see tickets anywhere from low $20 to, if you want to spend a little more change, how about $87 for the third row?
That's filthy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's filthy for an under the lights game, guys. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks, its curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use that code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
Captain Redbeard?
Game time.
Love it.
You hear this?
Stomping.
You hear that?
Bunch of stomping.
I bet the people underneath me heard that, and
Yeah.
I feel really bad about it. However, these floors are fantastic because they're Empire Today floors. We have them in our studios, and they've been holding up real nice, and they want to help you revamp whatever you need revamped, whether you're a landlord, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a homeowner. If you need new floorings and bring everything together, Empire Today is here to do that for you in an easy, quick, and convenient way, but not just fast, but done right, making sure that you pick the right floors for your home with a virtual floor visualizer. And they're not going to guarantee you the lowest prices, because then they'd be guaranteeing you the worst flooring that you could possibly get. Flooring they wouldn't put in their own home, and they just don't do that. But you can save some money. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, and all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code PHNX. Some restrictions do apply. See EmpireToday.com/PHNX for details.
Cade in the chat, death, taxes, and is Cam Rising playing?
That stomp kind of hurt my leg.
Yeah.
I think I might be questionable for
That's
Friday.
tough. That's tough.
Am
Are
I
you
play-
Cam Rising?
I think I might be Cam Rising.
Wow, that's crazy. Bees in the chat. Isaac Wilson could be the greatest miracle sent down from the football heavens, and it wouldn't matter. The Dilly defense will have him seeing ghosts out there.
Love that energy.
Yeah, Miles Ghost Rouser. He will indeed be out there. So Isaac Wilson, if he's out there, will 100% see at least
And
one
Cade
ghost.
hit you right there.
There you go. He'll be seeing Ghost Rouser. House of Heat Sports in the chat. All I'm going to say is, can we all take time to thank Ray Anderson for this amazing hire and Kenny Dillingham? But we did the right thing in firing him so he couldn't mess this up.
You know,
Didn't think I'd hear Ray Anderson's name on this show.
Yeah.
Not today, at least.
It's also interesting from the Michael Crow perspective as well, considering that Michael Crow went out there and was like, I don't want Dion because he's not a football coach.
It's the one time that Michael Crow listened to me.
And they went and they hired Dilly. You do have to give them credit for that. But, that's like, being in an abusive relationship and they buy you flowers on the way out. Like you still got to get out of it. Like you got to get out of here, Ray Anderson. Doesn't matter if you do something nice.
It's a toxic relationship.
You
broke up and they're still bringing you stuff.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
No.
Look,
we'll take Kenny though. We'll take him.
Friday night's game, Dilly's defense, and them dogs.
Can you let me know, just because I'm so out of the loop here, what are 3 players that Utah's offense could trot out
3
there
players. Well, realistically,
that ASU's defense would have to focus
there's
on?
only about 3.
I don't mean to put you on the spot
Realistically, there's only about 3. Well, let's start with the running back, Micah Bernard. Micah Bernard is a name that we had already kind of talked about at the start of the show today, because this Utah offense does indeed like to run the football. Micah Bernard, 82 carries on the season, 547 yards on the ground, averaging 6.7 yards per carry. Now, only a single rushing touchdown so far this season. One thing that Utah has struggled with a lot with Isaac Wilson in the game is turning those red zone possessions into touchdowns. They've gone for it quite a bit on 4th down. You look back to that Arizona game, I believe they went for it twice. Twice on 4th down. Didn't end up converting, and that has hurt them at a certain point this season. Only 3 rushing touchdowns as a whole for Utah.
It's crazy.
Through 5 games of the season. Not ideal for a team that likes to run the football. And in this conference, there are a lot of great running backs, and I don't want to say Micah Bernard isn't one of them, because I do think he is a talented running back, but in the grand scheme of these running backs, he's not a Taj Brooks. He is not an RJ Harvey. He is not a Cam Scatterbill.
No, he's certainly a good football player. 6.7 yards per carry on 82 carries at this point through the season is good. It's a good, above average, serviceable running back. But he's not great.
He's not an all-world running back.
And this is also going up against a defense like ASU, where a couple of their wins, Mississippi State, Kansas, very bend, don't break.
Yeah.
Right?
This is one of the best rushing defenses in the country.
Correct. And now you're able to go up against, is this the respectfully, the worst running back they faced besides Wyoming?
Maybe
Mississippi. I forget who Mississippi State's running back was. They didn't really have a running back at Mississippi State.
In conference
so far. Even Texas State.
I would take Ishmael Mahdi over Micah. But I would say the first 2 games, Mississippi State and Wyoming, those running backs were.
And look at how ASU's defense performed.
Yeah,
in those games, right?
They did a great job against Devin Neal last week.
Yeah, and again, like Devin Neal is statistically actually relatively similar. 100 carries for 584 yards, so less yards per carry, but 5 times the touchdowns. 5 touchdowns for Devin Neal.
And you have to remember Kansas as 1-5.
They've sucked. Yeah, they've sucked, and they've also, I believe, played an extra game. I think they've played 6 games. I think Utah has just played 5. Yep. So they haven't had their bye week, but again, 100 carries, 584 yards, 5 touchdowns. I think Devin Neal's better, but Micah Bernard is not too far off from Devin Neal, but this is certainly not a running back that's going to strike fear in your heart. And it's somebody that they're going to have to rely on if Isaac Wilson plays more, and at home where your defense has been able to make stands, bend, don't break, and answer, even if you get down to the red zone or close to the red zone, if you don't have somebody like a Cam Scatterbill to punch it in, ASU's defense will take advantage of that.
I say if Micah Bernard goes for under 125 rushing yards, Arizona State wins this game.
What's been his... has he even gotten close to that?
Yeah, he's had a couple games.
He had 182 against Oklahoma State,
which was a win for Utah.
123 against Utah State,
which was a win. Mind you, Utah State was at a certain point winning that game.
Yeah, and 118 very early, and 118 against Baylor. Against Arizona, 16 carries for 91 yards, 5.7 average. If you can have,
and they lost that game.
Yeah, and if you can have a performance like that, where that's 1 yard below his average is the 5.7 yards per carry. But if he has 16 carries for 91 yards against ASU,
you're taking that.
Yeah, you're definitely taking that, especially when the uncertainty at quarterback is.
Yeah, I think Isaac Wilson in that Arizona game threw the ball 40 times.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If Isaac Wilson is throwing the ball 40 times a game, in this game, you're winning.
And another thing about Micah is that he is not a receiving threat at all.
No, not necessarily.
Not at all. like week 1, 0 for 0. Week 2, 2 for 5. Week 3, 2 for 3. Week 4, 2 for -2. So he's actually trending down. And then against Arizona, 0 for 0 again.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry. Like Cam Scatterboot, like these are guys that can do it all.
Yeah.
Right. Like Cam is, a weapon to receive. He did that against Kansas in a very pivotal drive where he was, catching the ball instead of running the ball. That's a lot easier for a defense to know if he's out there, either he's blocking
or he's running
the ball.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And a big part of the reason they don't necessarily need Micah Bernard to be that guy is because they do have two really talented weapons in the receiving game, starting on their perimeter in Dorian Singer. Arizona State fans know a thing or two about Dorian Singer, the former Arizona Wildcat, the former USC Trojan. Now, Dorian Singer didn't have a great season last year with Caleb Williams, but all you got to do is turn back the clocks and see what he did in that year with the Arizona Wildcats.
Oh, just 1,100 yards on 16.7 yards per reception.
Really good wide receiver, and he is already, I believe, having the second best season of his career.
Yep.
And he is
kind of.
No.
So yeah, he actually is. Yeah, he is, because before that it was 301 yards in 2021. He's already at 359.
And there's still a lot of games left.
Yeah.
Look, this guy is a talented wide receiver. I don't care if you are looking for the Dorian Singer of old, and by old I mean last year. This guy, you go game by game. Against Arizona, 9 catches, $155. Against Oak State, 7 catches, 95 yards. Against Utah State, 5 catches, 66 yards. First game of the season, 31 yards. This guy has been able to get open, and he's been able to do it against some really good defenses, again, Tacardio Davis with the Wildcats. Again, 9 catches, $155. He hasn't found the end zone yet this season, which has been very, very big for opposing defenses. I am really interested to see the matchup between this Arizona State secondary and Dorian Singer, especially a group that I do feel like could have a get right game for this ASU secondary.
They have not been playing as high as we were expecting them to play. I think they've had some really good moments. You think back to Texas State, Javen Robinson, of course, even the end of the Kansas game with Xavier Alford batting that pass down and everybody basically being there. They've certainly had their moments where they've played well, but as far as consistently, they have not been there as consistently. And you saw that against Kansas as well, as they were able to move the ball downfield. Jalen Daniels was able to kind of get a get-right game. So when you have a target like Dorian Singer, who is coming off of, his best individual game of the season, but again, the worst game as far as Utah lost that game to an Arizona team that has proven to not be great, you probably are going to look at a lot of targets for Dorian Singer. Yeah. Because I think that this ASU defense, even without Clayton and Keyshaun for the first half, is much more well-equipped to stop the run than they are to the pass. And if Cam Rising's playing, they're going to pass a lot. And even if Isaac is playing, that you're going to be able to kind of rush the box at first and stop the run. And if you do that, then Utah has no choice but to pass. And when they do, they're going to go to Dorian or the next person we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and the next person we're talking about is that tight end, Brent Keithy, one of the best tight ends
what a tight end
in
name.
The country. This guy, like Cam Rising, is a super senior. He has been playing college football since 2018.
Respect.
A long, long time. And it hasn't just been like bad seasons, right? It's not like he was a true freshman in 2018 and did nothing. He's had over 200 receiving yards in every single season of his college career. 2 seasons, 2019 and 2021, he went over 600 receiving yards. He is already at 269 here in 2024. Both those 2019 and 2021 seasons, 6 total receiving touchdowns, already up to his 3rd most, 4 touchdowns this season in 2024. He is a security blanket for either Cam Rising or Isaac Wilson. This is the weapon, capital V, for the Utah Utes.
Not that this actually matters, but something very interesting when you look at his stats in 2019. Remember 2019?
No.
You don't?
No.
That's tough.
Because of what preceded it in 2020.
Yeah. Well, 2019, he had 6 carries for guess how many yards? Oh, you're looking right now.
No, I didn't see it. 6 carries, 72 yards.
102 yards.
That's crazy.
He averaged 17 yards per carry.
As a tight end.
He's an
athletic tight end,
and
man.
You know what? The next season, he had 6 for 50. After that, he is
How
not.
many touchdowns? How many rushing touchdowns?
He has had 2 rushing touchdowns, and none of them came in those seasons. He has 1 rushing touchdown this year.
Yeah, 1 this year, 1
He
in
has as
2021.
many rushing touchdowns as their running back.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of crazy.
He did in 2019 have 3 rushing touchdowns.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. That was the year he was averaging 17 yards per carry.
Yeah, I was looking at the 6 for 50.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they're using him as a weapon.
He is a weapon.
But of course, now in his old age, he probably can't run the ball as well. So
Grandpa?
he's having
Grandpa Keithy?
yards wise and yards per grab wise, he's having his second best season from his 2019. He had 602 yards on 17.7 per grab, and then in 2021 he had 611 on 12.2. This season so far, 17 receptions, 269 for 15.8 and 4 touchdowns. For a team that doesn't score a lot of touchdowns, he has 4 in the air, 1 on the ground.
Does it all.
Yeah.
He's a talented player. And again, you are in a position where if you're Arizona State, this is not necessarily a team in Utah that wins football games because of their offense. They win it because of their defense. And we're going to talk about that on tomorrow's PHNX Sun Devils show. But whether it's Cam Rising or Isaac Wilson, this Arizona State defense, like Eric Reed says in the chat, Jordan Crook, Zyrus Fiaseu, the safeties, Xavier Alford, Shamari Simmons at nickel, these guys are going to be responsible for Brent Keithy, for Doherty and Singer. If you're able to lock them up and really just eat Micah Bernard alive in the backfield, you are going to win this football game.
If you could take Micah Bernard out of the game, not that he's going to be this overwhelming, powerful force, but if you could take him out of the game.
It's more the offensive line at Utah. Like, that offensive line is good.
But even with the offensive line, like Micah Bernard has not been great. But yeah, if you can win the line of scrimmage and you can make Micah Bernard and whoever's back there, whether it's a possibly rusty Cam Rising or a still learning Isaac Wilson, you take them out of the game, then it becomes a lot easier for your secondary to know, like, hey, they have to pass the ball.
Yeah.
But
you have to win the line of scrimmage.
But you have to win the line.
Again,
you always have to. You have to win any football game. You got to win the line of scrimmage.
This is the toughest, I would say the toughest offensive line that Arizona State has seen.
Absolutely.
And we'll see if that,
toughest defensive line?
Do
you think Utah's got the toughest? I know we'll get into that tomorrow.
How about I answer that question tomorrow then?
Okay. How about another tease? How about that?
Look, we're just full of teases, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Guys, that is going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devil Show. Like we said, tomorrow we're talking all things Arizona State offense versus that Utah defense. For me, that's where I think the game is going to be won or lost for Kenny Dillingham's Sun Devils. But again, make sure you're subscribed to PHNX Sports. Also, head to gophnx.com today. Click the little Die Hard tab. It's going to tell you everything that you unlock when you become a PHNX Die Hard. You're going to get access to that Die Hard Discord. You're going to get exclusive Die Hard only content. You are going to get 1 free t-shirt or hat every single year. Guys, the membership, the Die Hard membership, pays for itself. Anything else that you want to add, Senor Rubis?
Make sure you check out all the other awesome content that we have here on PHNX Sports. And, you hit that subscribe button, not just for us, but for our fantastic Cardinals coverage as they go through their season. Suns preseason, there's a game tonight. Suns post-game show we'll be doing. And, of course, start of that season is late October. You're going to definitely want to keep an eye out for all of that. Very exciting stuff in the work over at PHNX Suns. We do have PHNX Wildcats if you want to jump in on their chat and make fun of them. Whatever. Just don't make it personal. Just make fun of their football team. Diamondbacks, they're doing awesome. Archie Bradley was on the show yesterday.
Consistently on the show.
Yeah, Archie Bradley's there all the time. Definitely worth giving a listen if you care at all about baseball, or even if you cared a couple of years ago when Archie was on the team, or if you're trying to get back into it. We really just have everything here, and make sure that you are also checking out one last thing. Sorry, I'm just a plug machine right now. Gerald Bourget, our wonderful Suns beat reporter, has been putting down breakdowns for the Suns individual players every single day, all 17 players, including two-ways. If you're looking for an introduction to the Suns, if you're trying to get into it this season, it should be a fun time. You can check those out on our non-live show page, and of course, we will continue to break all of that down as we get closer to the season. That is my very long plug.
We also have a new daily newsletter.
Yes. Oh, how did I get through all the plugs? I didn't plug that.
Patrick Brown joining the squad doing PHNX Daily. Everything you guys need to know in your inbox. Sign up today. Go phnx.com/newsletter. It is getting sent straight to your inbox every single day. New content, new stories, and so much more. Definitely check that out. Like Sharon says, become a diehard and join the chat during the game. So much fun.
Yeah, we'll be out there. I'll be taking some special birthday pictures of Anthony Totri on Friday.
Will you now?
And I will be sending videos and pictures, just getting the scenes up close with the players on the sidelines, pregame, their walkout in the tunnel. If you can't be at the game, you can kind of be at the game through our diehard Discord. It's a really good time.
Absolutely. Guys, if you enjoyed the content, give us a follow at PHNX _Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony _Totri. You could follow the Hall Monitor, also known as Chicken Little, at Erik
Better
Ruby.
than dog legs.
That is Erik with a K. You can follow Captain Redbeard at K Coop Sports, guys. And as always, we will see you tomorrow. But go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.